was a conversation between Ozee and Victoria yesterday evening. As a matter of fact, they spent a lot of time together yesterday. Yeah, they spent time talking, getting to know each other better, and they discovered their love for traveling, for adventures, you know, for just doing things out of the box. Yeah, so they were just comparing their experiences from all the trips that they've actually taken in their life, right? And the conversation had continued later on in the evening. It was after the sponsor task. They were back into the house. We did not hear the beginning of that conversation, but from the part where the cameras, you know, was focused on them, Ozee was telling Victoria, like vehemently, that she was too guarded, too stubborn, that she doesn't want to let down her guards. And from the example that she was citing, one of such was, whilst they were talking, Victoria noticed that there were footsteps on the staircase leading up to the dressing area. And so she had turned, you know, to check who it was. And Ozee was like, oh, you see, this is what I'm talking about. Be free. You don't want to be free. You're too guarded. You're too guarded. So pretty much that was what the conversation revolved around, you know, that she was too guarded. She was too stubborn. Now, Victoria, on the other hand, was telling him that, well, she's not too guarded. That although she takes her time to trust people, although she takes her time to open up to people, but she can also be vulnerable. It doesn't mean that she does not have the capacity to be vulnerable. And Ozee was, you know, disagreeing with her because for him, she's not being forthcoming most of the time, yes. And he's not in Big Brother's house to help people come out of their vulnerability. Because Victoria was telling him that, okay, listen, have you ever thought of it this way? That I want to be vulnerable, or maybe I want to be vulnerable, but I want you to bring it out. Have you ever thought of it that way? And this was like, who am I? Am I in Big Brother's house to help you be vulnerable? I'm not going to do that. Like, it was obviously pressed. And from the look of that conversation, Victoria was cruising. She was having fun. She wasn't taking it too deep. Ozee, on the other hand, it looked like he was kind of getting frustrated because he's trying so hard to, you know, go through that wall that Victoria has created for herself. But she only gives off just little bits of herself. She never fully opens up to Ozee, and it really frustrates him. I mean, guys, if you compare his relationship with Onyeka literally bears it all for very obvious reasons, right? But Victoria, on the other hand, is quite the extreme opposite. Victoria does not open up. When it comes to both of them discussing travels, you know, and their interest in exploring the world and the adventurous things that they do, you know, the crazy out of the box type of things that they do, Victoria gives a bit of information. She shares, right? But when it now comes to personal things, Victoria is a closed book. She's completely guarded. And that is because she has studied this guy, Ozee, and she knows that, first of all, whatever she says to this guy just might not be safe with him because of his relationship with Onyeka. They talk a lot. And also, Ozee talks a lot himself. So sometimes it might turn into a leaking basket. There's also the fact that she is fully aware of her environment. She's fully aware of the theme of the season, no lose guard. And so she does not want to get so carried away that she, you know, reveals personal, like very intimate personal details of her life, of herself, to someone who might not care enough to cover up for her or to keep her secrets safe. So as Ozee went on and on, you know, complaining about that, she was just laughing. But then she left him with a food for thought. Now think about it. Maybe I really want to be vulnerable with you, but I want you to bring it out by yourself. So think about it. And yes, indeed, Ozee was thinking about it. And guys, I found it so hilarious because you could see Ozee's frustration. Later on, they had continued that conversation, you know, and he was still complaining about the same thing. To take a pause to analyze Ozee's complaints or his observations of Victoria. And for me, what I could deduce from that was that Ozee was not really happy about the fact that with Onyeka, it was quite easy to have that access. It was quite easy. He did not even have to do much. He did not even have to fight for it. Onyeka's information was just coming to him. He knew how to play the game with her. They both knew how to play the game with each other. And for some weird reason, he thought that it was going to be an easy peasy task for him as well with Victoria. He thought it was just going to be a walk in the park. Oh, you know, good looking guy, intelligent guy, meets good looking girl, also intelligent girl, but she seems kind of weak. She seems kind of quiet, right? And so he's going to, you know, try his luck and see how he can work on her and, you know, play her and play his game as well. But he got the shocker of his life because Victoria is not that girl. Victoria is not that girl to be messed around with. Victoria is not that girl that will bear it all on live TV just because of the game. Victoria is not that gullible. That is what Ozee is realizing. And so instead of coming to terms with that fact and being brutally honest with himself, he decided to label Victoria's smartness, Victoria's intelligence, and Victoria's self-awareness as her being too guarded, as her being stubborn. And then there was something he said. He said that he knows that it is his fault because if he had taken the lead, Victoria would have followed. And Victoria was like, oh, what do you mean? And then he had cited that particular Sunday Live Eviction show when Ebuka had, you know, exposed whatever was going on between him and Onyeka, you know, the whole triangular situation and whatnot, you know. And from what he was saying, he said, oh, if he had followed her up that day after the show, that he would have had his way and she would have, you know, followed. If he had taken the lead, she would have followed. So what I interpreted that to mean was, oh, maybe if he had applied more pressure on Victoria and followed her, you know, kind of maybe making more advances at her, then he would have succeeded in his quest to win her over. And Victoria was just laughing. Oh my God. Guys, Victoria was just laughing. But listening to Ozee, for me, it was the confidence for me. I was looking at this guy and I'm thinking, bro, you're a very, very exposed man. You're very intelligent, well-traveled. You've met big people from different walks of life. And now you're in Big Brother's house. You've met all the housemates, but more specifically, Victoria and Onyeka. You've seen the difference in their personalities. What does that tell you? That what works for one might not necessarily work for the other. Victoria is not after anything with you. Victoria does not necessarily need anything from you. You are the one doing the chasing most of the time. You are the one trying to penetrate that wall, go through her defenses. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, if you go through her defenses, you might toss and turn her around. So she's fully aware of this fact because she is equally exposed. She is equally well-traveled. She has met people in high places as well. So she's fully aware of this possibility. So you thinking that, oh, because it's working with Onyeka, so it should work with Victoria. And so because it's not necessarily going your way, you are tagging her as stubborn. Oh, she's too guarded. I don't understand. What do you want? She should be throwing herself at you. She should be kissing you on the forehead. She should come and cuddle you in bed the way the other one is doing. How? It's not going to go your way, bro. It was so funny, ladies and gentlemen. But one thing about that conversation that I really liked was it was not that deep, right? It was not that deep. People were not getting angry, you know, it was not that deep. And so later on, there was light-hearted conversations. I am glad that, yes, despite it all, Victoria is not really losing her guard with Ozee. Now, quickly moving on, there was quite an emotional scene in the house last night involving Wani. And I kind of felt really bad for her. Yeah, kind of felt bad for her. So, you know this housemates wall gallery where they put the frames of evicted pairs and evicted housemates. So finally, Biggie brought in Andy and Sean's frames. And The moment Wani saw it, oh my God, it was an emotional roller coaster. She looked like a child that was missing her mommy and her daddy. You know, the way she was stretching out her hands to reach out to them, you know, blowing kisses to them, telling them how much she misses them, how much she feels so alone and lonely in the house. And it was kind of sad. It was kind of sad. I mean, you could see it from her face, from her countenance. Guys, it was just really sad. But then I'm like, oh girl, just don't worry. It's just a matter of a week and some days. And that is if you survive eviction this week. But if you do survive eviction this week, it's just a matter of a week and some days, and you would reconnect with them again, you know. But just seeing that whole scene, it was quite emotional. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the crux of the matter of this particular video is mostly about Ozee and Victoria's conversation, which I have just shared and analyzed to all of you. And so I would love to hear your thoughts about it, all right? Ozee saying that Victoria is too guarded and is too stubborn. What do you make of that? What is your analysis of that? What is your interpretation of that? Please go ahead and share your thoughts in the comment section below. Oh, and look at me once again. I got so carried away, I forgot to introduce myself. Well, if you've watched this video up until this point, hi, you're welcome, and hi. Thank you so much for watching to this point. My name is Gloria Elijah, in case you do not know. This is Frankly Speaking with Gloria Elijah, and I am the girl with the tea. The tea of this video has already been spilled, hence a follow-up question. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And yeah, I will see you guys on another episode of Frankly Speaking with Gloria Elijah. There is another video coming up about Kelly and Kassia though, so please watch out for that video. Do not go anywhere. Thanks for watching, and bye.